Welcome to Jaunty Haunts, the podcast about all things supernatural. After 30 years of keeping a secret, I'm finally ready to share with the world that I see ghosts. Yep, I've been having conversations with the other side while trying to keep up appearances. This podcast is all about getting spooky and connecting with others who might also sense, see, or feel things beyond the ordinary. We'll swap true tales of the seen and unseen, and maybe even laugh about the weird stuff we've experienced. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, come join me as we explore the paranormal. Let's connect, share, and maybe feel a little less crazy together. Welcome to Jaunty Haunts. Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 7. This episode is entitled Elders, Ancestors, and Burial Practices. While these specific topics can sometimes feel very solemn and a little taboo to talk about, I think it's important to acknowledge the one thing we all have in common: death. So, how do we honor each other? How do we continue to honor and connect with those who came before us? How do different cultures experience and take part in the event of death? These are all questions I feel I could spend my whole life researching and looking for answers. So we'll just get started tonight, I guess. I would say probably one of the most common paranormal experiences we as humans have is the phenomenon of seeing a loved one who has passed away. Whether it be how we as people deal with grief, perhaps our brains are replaying old imagery to help us find comfort in a time of unexplainable pain, or they appear to us, truly, as a visit from beyond the grave in order to pass along a message, convey they are indeed in a better place, or take care of unfinished business. While many are still searching for the proof, I call myself lucky to have interacted with loved ones from my own past and ancestors of others revealing themselves for a visit. Fear of death and dying is a very real thing. But just like this podcast is a safe space for many beliefs and ideas, let this also be a safe space to talk about our ideas of death and what happens when we die, because even with all that I have experienced, I still can't say for certain that I know what happens when we die. The only thing I do feel certain of is that it's not nothing. So, for this episode, I'm going to tell a couple of stories about ancestral spirits I have encountered. Then Sierra and I will be talking about multiple cultural burial practices, and she's going to share some of her own personal stories. As always, please send in your personal stories in regards to any of the topics we have discussed this season. I would love to hear from you. You can email us at jauntyhaunts@gmail.com. Also, if you like the show, please tell a friend. That'd be great. Now, let's get into it. The CASPER rating of this episode is 1. The personal stories you are about to hear are entitled Jack Daniels and Daisies and Your Grandmother-in-Law. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 7. We were at the height of the pandemic, and sleep was, minimal. My insomnia got so bad during the pandemic that I was sometimes going on 2 to 6 hours of sleep a week. I was really feeling crazy, feeling ill. My face was bloating. I was having a lot of other health effects. My insomnia got so bad that I ended up having to start taking sleeping pills, which were great, honestly, for almost 5 years, and I just stopped taking them. So it's true what they say, they are habit forming, so be careful out there. It was the height of the pandemic. We were all there. The stress, the isolation, the fear, the impending doom of what's coming next. At the time, we were in a townhouse. We had 2 roommates. It was another couple. We had a gorgeous, very awesome 3-bedroom in North Hollywood, and we got a great price for it. As I mentioned, it was the pandemic. We were all quarantining and staying in together. The 4 of us became kind of our own little family unit, them with their very cute little old chihuahua. One night, I was really having trouble sleeping. I was feeling a lot of energy from the day, and I don't think anything majorly political or any world events happened, but there was something in the house and I couldn't shake it. And I remember laying in our bed and staring up at the ceiling and peeking at the tiny cracks of light that was coming through the window lines, and just wondering what time it was and how much sleep I could get. And at the time, I was the only one employed. I was fortunate enough to have a remote job, but I was still working between 8 and 12 hours a day, depending on the needs of my job. So counting down those minutes of, if I fall asleep now, I can kind of try to do this and that. And I closed my eyes and I heard almost a creak. Any little tiny sound, when you have insomnia, wakes you right up. And there was a man standing in the bedroom. We had those mirrored closet doors. Basically, a whole wall becomes a mirror, which wasn't great energetically. I've talked about mirrors a little bit before in the story of the gym. So having that in the bedroom was always a little unnerving. But he was certainly older, probably in his 80s, late 80s, and had a balding head and sort of a polo shirt on and some slacks. And he was just in our bedroom. And we made eye contact, and then he exited the room. So I got my slippers on, I got my robe on, I grabbed my phone and my charger and everything I knew I would need to go sleep on the couch, because at this point it really had become a habit of turning on any kind of peaceful show or movie like Pinocchio or Little Bear, something like that, just to help me try to calm my mind at least. So anyway, I gathered my sleep kit and I started to make my way downstairs to figure out, number one, who this ghost was and try to get some sleep. So the minute I opened the bedroom door to go outside, he was right there. And I think I actually did make an audible, like, oh! It was alarming. His energy certainly wasn't menacing or scary or negative. It was just a very clear presence. And he did, like I said, seem lost. It seemed like he was looking for someone or something. And I just kind of pointed towards the stairs, like, go downstairs, go, And he pointed as well towards the stairs, and I just nodded, but he didn't move. So I, cautiously held the railing tight and made my way down the stairs because, as we've talked about, ghosts can't hurt you, and that just hasn't been my experience. So I always take a little extra caution when I see something around. So I made my way down the stairs and I saddled up on the couch, and he made his way about 70% down the stairs onto this sort of landing that we had in the corner, which had about 4 stairs left till you reached the floor. And he stood there and he stayed there. And he just kind of stared all night. And I did not sleep at all. I did turn on Pinocchio. That was the one I ended up turning on because, I don't know. I just felt like maybe the vintage vibes will help. Sometimes if I play older music or things that I think the spirit might know, it might help them calm down. I don't know. I'm really grasping at straws when this kind of shit happens. So I laid there. I tried to meditate. I, tried to, did I try to talk to him? I mean, it's that weird thing I think I've mentioned with Sierra of trying to communicate almost through my third eye, right? Of sending signals or energy through, I don't know, like the air. I don't know how to explain it, but it was very, it just seemed like it was on a mission and it was in the wrong spot. The townhouse that we had did have a wall that connected to another side, and I thought maybe he literally lives next door and he just passed away and he's just trying to find his way out, but due to the multiple nights of insomnia, I had nothing to give. I had no energy. I was so tired and just not well that I couldn't help him at that point. And I was thinking to myself, if he's not gone by tomorrow, I'll deal with it then. Hopefully I can get a nap in during the day, right? Because I was almost sleeping better during the day. So anyway, around, I'll say 5:45, 6 a.m., my other roommate, who was very much a morning person, came downstairs, and that's usually when I would head back up, right? I'd get back in bed with my partner and just try to get 2 to 3 hours of sleep before I had to get up for work. So I did. Luckily, I went back upstairs and I fell asleep for about 2 hours. And I came down and I didn't see the man, but what I did see was a huge bottle of Jack Daniels on the dresser next to the TV and a bouquet of, I believe it was white daisies and some candles burning. And my roommate was sat there and I said, "Hey, what's this?" And she said, "My grandpa died last night." And I, expressed my condolences. I didn't say, "Oh my God, I saw him here last night." Obviously, I'm not going to make it about me. I just wanted to be there for my friend and my roommate. And I said, "I'm so sorry. Can I do anything?" And I think a few months had passed, maybe a few months. And I asked her, what did your grandpa look like? And she told me, and she was like, "Why? Did you see him?" And I can't remember if I told her I did or not. I didn't want to scare her, but he was there. He was definitely there, and he was looking to say goodbye to his granddaughter that night. And I hope ultimately, when she came down that morning around 5 a.m., he was able to see her and say goodbye in his own way, because I didn't see him again in the home. He never came back, so that was it. He came and she honored him and said her goodbyes, and his spirit did not come back. I worked for a very cool lady when I lived in LA, and after being there for a couple years, her and her boyfriend got very serious and they were moving in together into his house. The house he had inherited from his grandparents, and it was a very, very pretty house in Toluca Lake. And the first day I went over there to do some work with her, I knew right away it was haunted. And she was a very cool lady. Very, very cool lady, very cool boss. And, she right away was like, "Do you feel something here?" She knew. And I said, "I do." And, she got really scared, and I had to reassure her, like, it is not bad. It is very good. Don't be scared. Like, "Oh, I'm scared. I'm going to sage." It's like, okay, if you need to sage, or if you need to do, you live here now. It's your space. You need to do what you need to do to feel comfortable. But just know, whoever is here is not bad. Don't worry about it. She's like, "What do you see? What do you feel?" And I kind of told her what I felt and all this. And this was before I knew that he was the owner of this house, number one, and that he had inherited it from his grandparents. All I knew was this was, his house, and she was moving in with him. They were moving in together. And we were carrying some heavy boxes out to load up into my car for a job that I was doing later that day for the for the film industry. I was going to work on a shoot, and was loading up my car, and I looked in, and there was an old woman in the front guest bedroom peeking out through the blinds. And I said, "Who's in the room right now?" And she said, "What room?" I said, "The front guest room. Who's that woman in there?" And she said, "What are you talking about? Like, there's no woman in there," and she got really, really scared. And I was like, "Oh, okay, it's okay. Okay, I'm sorry." The spirit was so present, so strong. And she got teary, and she said, "I'm so scared because that is the room that his grandma died in. And you're seeing a woman in there?" So, number one, it was really validating to be like, okay, cool. At least, the dots are connecting. So anyway, she's like, "Please come in. Please make her leave. Da 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 da." And I'm like, "I'll come back in. I'm not going to make her leave. This was her house, and from what I can tell, she likes you. So like, chill out, So we go back in, we go in the room, and I don't see her now. I don't see anything. But she said, you're not the first person who has said that. There's been other people who have commented on a woman being there in the window and watching them out through the street. I'm like, she's just trying to take a peek at the neighborhood, you know. It's it's kind of sweet. Creepy too, but sweet. And as far as I know, they still live there, and they had a baby, and I think their baby is actually in that room now. So I hope that her grandma is checking in on her and gets to see their beautiful daughter that they had. So anyway, that's the story of that house. Hey listeners, I hope you enjoyed that story. Next, we're going to be transitioning into the talk show portion of the show, where my creepy kooky friend Sierra joins in. Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot it. This is a fun story. Okay, great. So we're going to talk about ancestral and elder hauntings.
Okay.
I know that you have a connection to this. Your grandma passed.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a desire to connect. And I know there was sort of a connection with your mother. So I'd love to talk about that with the psychic and how that all went. But first, I want to talk about some types of burials. Because I know we were talking about that, right?
Mm.
Different ways, different cultures handle death and... without being too bleak, but how they dispose of bodies. Mm-hmm. I've been curious, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read you some facts.
Oh, cool.
So, ancestral burials. This is from, it's a Britannica article. So one is called the sky burial. The sky burial is common in Tibet and amongst Buddhists who believe in the value of sending their loved ones' souls towards heaven. In this ritual, bodies are left outside, often cut into pieces for birds and other animals to devour. This serves the dual purpose of eliminating the now empty vessel of the body and allowing the soul to depart, while also embracing the circle of life and giving sustenance to animals.
Okay.
Yeah. When I first read that, I thought, that's a little intense.
Yeah.
But then I was like, that's fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. Like...
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of giving back to the earth or to nature.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Little cutting up sounds like a lot.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want my family to have to cut me up.
Nope.
But if it's like, yeah, leave her out.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes to take her.
Yeah. Why not? I really like the idea of giving back to Mother Nature.
Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Okay, so the next one, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, so forgive me for butchering this, but it's a Famadihana. It's called Dancing with the Dead.
Oh.
This best describes the burial tradition in Madagascar. The Malagasy people, forgive me again. The Malagasy people open the tombs of their dead every few years and rewrap them in fresh burial clothes.
Oh.
Each time the dead get fresh wrappings, they also get a fresh dance near the tomb while music plays all around. This ritual, translated to the turning of the bones, is meant to speed up decomposition and push the spirit of the dead toward the afterlife.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's crazy how, like, precious we are with death, especially, like, going back to our Victorian roots of the British, right? Where it's like... Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Just, where it's like, this is like so embracing it, you know?
Yeah, I do love that.
Yeah.
Because, you're right. People are so weird about it. When in reality, it's the thing we all have in common.
Yes. It's literally the only thing we can all be sure of is that at some point we're going to die.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something refreshing about learning about different traditions that can breathe some life and certainty into like, hey, yeah, this happened, and we can grieve and process our emotions as we want, but we're going to keep interacting with this vessel to make sure that we're, helping it pass on how it may for them or for us or whatever. But it's like, it just seems, I don't know. It just seems a little more cathartic than just like in a box in the ground, never to be seen again.
Yeah. Yeah, that never sat right with me. I know that's obviously it's very common. We have so many graveyards. It's always felt weird to me.
Same. Okay, the next one is the water burial. Many cultures, especially Nordic countries, have embraced water in their rituals of choice for the dead, from laying coffins atop cliffs faced toward the water to actually using the water as a burial ground. Some set bodies adrift in death ships, either along a river or sent out into the ocean, giving the bodies back to the gods or places most valued by the people of the area.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that a lot.
I do too, kind of like go down the river, going into the sea, going back. Do you have any Pisces in your chart? Or no, you're Cancer.
I'm a Cancer.
Yeah, that's a water sign, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, big water sign. Yeah. I probably have Pisces, too. But I
think Cancer makes sense. It's just like Pisces is the first water sign that comes to my mind, but...
No, Cancer is a big water. We're very emotional. Very, very much a water sign. Yes.
Well, that makes sense. Maybe the water burial is for you.
Maybe.
Okay, I love this one. The parade. Hello. Celebrating the life of the deceased can take many forms. A tradition from Varanasi, India. Again, forgive me. Varanasi, India. Involves parading the dead through the streets. The bodies dressed in colors that highlight the virtues of the deceased. Red for purity, yellow for knowledge. That's an example. In effort to encourage souls to reach salvation, ending the cycle of reincarnation, the bodies are sprinkled with water from the Ganges River and then cremated at the town's main cremation grounds. So it's like a proper big celebration march to the cremation.
I like that.
I do too. Again, it seems because of how we were raised, like right, like it's like so jarring to think of like parading a dead body, but it's like it's not some like ooh, you know, it's like we all die.
Well, yeah, that's all. It also, there's a similarity there between that, right? And like we have the pallbearers, right? We have the people who carry.
That's true.
Not everybody does that, but.
My apologies. You're talking about the pallbearers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, there is a similarity. It's not as celebratory. It's a little more, I think, solemn and stoic, yes. But I feel like there is this pull from within us to have some sort of like ceremonial send-off of these vessels.
The respect.
Yeah. But I like
it just seems brighter in other cultures.
It's more celebratory.
Yeah. Okay, so then the next one is Tower of Silence. I'm totally going to butcher this, sorry. So one Zoroastrian.
Yeah, however you said it.
Tradition requires vultures to keep its ancient burial ritual alive. In that tradition, a dead body is believed to defile everything it touches, including the ground and fire, and raising a corpse to the sky for vultures to devour was historically the only option. Bull's urine is used to clean the body before tools, which are later destroyed, are used to cut off clothing. The corpse is then placed atop a tower of silence, out of the way of the living who could never be tainted by it.
No, I don't like that one bit. I don't like it. Very negative.
Yeah.
No offense, Zoroastrians. I don't like that. Yeah. I don't like that. That's negative.
Yeah, it seems so fear-based in a time where probably like there was a lot of like sickness and illness and like no one knew why.
Yeah.
So they were probably just like, it's you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that seems so like, and maybe in that culture, right, it's like you die, the soul is gone, right? Like this is just a physical thing. This is not that person anymore. Like maybe there's a very strong sense of separation, but like that's gotta be hard for families.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe not. Right? We're so conditioned.
That would make me feel worse.
Yeah.
The moment you said Tower of Silence, I went, no. That was before the vultures. No.
Yeah, no. All right, we got two more here. So, ashes to deathbeds. While countless burial traditions around the world include cremation, South Koreans have taken it a step further by turning the ashes of the deceased into beads.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, these beads have a bit of a shine to them and come in an array of colors from pink or black to turquoise. Placed inside glass vases or even in open dishes, the beads can then take center stage inside a home, a more decorative choice than a conventional urn. In a country where space is at a premium and cremation is becoming the only realistic choice for burying the dead, getting something beautiful out of the process gives loved ones a new tradition to embrace and heirloom to treasure.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I've heard that happening everywhere. I remember being in middle school art class, and we were doing charcoal drawings.
Oh, cool.
And I remember my art teacher talking about when she dies, she wants her body to be turned into charcoal to be used for art.
Oh,
and I was
wow.
like, that's sick.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've heard people can be turned into like diamonds, and I'm like, I love it. I think it's wonderful. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's really cool too. Yeah, it's funny you think about like people's dogs' ashes being turned into rings and necklaces and all these things, and it's like, that's really great that there are places who can do things like that.
Yeah.
It's very neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one I have here is an array of Filipino traditions. We promised 7 unique burial rituals, but when it comes to the Philippines, there were just too many to choose from. The Tinguian, my apologies, the Tinguian people dress the deceased in the fanciest of clothes and sit the body on a chair, often placing a lit cigarette in the lips, while the Banguet people blindfold their dead before placing them in chairs at the entrance of the home. The Cebuano people dress children attending funerals in red to lessen the chance of the dead closer to heaven, while people in Cavite often entomb the deceased vertically in a hollowed-out tree chosen by the person before death. The diversity of regions in the Philippines has given a rise to diversity of Filipino burial rituals that comes second to none. So, a good handful there.
The tree's
kind
of fun.
Yeah, I love the tree, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
It's got to be also like a really kind of like fun and spooky forest if there are a lot all in one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's really positive though, but
it sounds beautiful to me.
The cigarette one.
The cigarette one, yeah. All right, do you?
Yeah.
But for me, there is a way to a company that will bury you in a very specific
like shrouding,
and bury you and then plant a tree.
Yes.
And I
love
always
that.
said I wanted to
Yep.
go. I want to do that.
Jordan says that too. I think
Yeah.
that's what he kind of wanted.
I think it's wonderful.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, literally coming back to the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think ultimately what's most like realistic and cost effective I always think of is just cremation. I like the idea of that. And like blow my ashes off of like the hills of Scotland, the Eiffel Tower, and like maybe in like the Barrymore Theater, just like sprinkle a little boop boop, just a little something in some Broadway theater.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's I think what I want. But if not, like, I don't know, this is going to sound so bleak, but I'm like, I worry about the tree thing because of global warming. I'd hate to just be burned down in like a California wildfire.
Oh. I mean, ashes to ashes.
Dust to dust.
Look. Yeah, my grandmother, when she passed, my mom bought, so it's my mom and her 2 sisters, and she bought 3 big urns, and then she bought mini ones so that we could spread her ashes, and she bought one for me too. I was very, very close with my grandmother.
Yeah.
Very, very, very close. So we all went to her favorite beach. And it was really special. They used to go camping there when they were kids with my grandmother. And then when I was a kid, we also, as a family, all would go camping there with my grandmother. And then before she passed, she wanted to see the beach one last time. And so my mom and my dad drove her there so she could see. So we went after she passed, and we brought our little urns and spread her ashes into the ocean. Oh. And I still have one, because my mom was like, she always wanted to go to New York. I can't bring myself to leave her ashes here, though.
Yeah.
She's with me.
She's I don't know. It out. Yeah.
I'm sure I'll spread her ashes at some point. And it's funny because I always was like, oh, we don't need to keep ashes. Like, that feels weird that people keep the ashes. And I'm like,
it means something to you.
Since my grandmother passed and since my dog passed, I have both of them on my little, like, I have a little section.
Yeah.
Sort of dedicated to both of them. Honestly, like, if you've, a friend does.
Yes.
It's sort of similar to that. I didn't do it on purpose, but it's just, I have my grandma's little urn there, and I have pictures with her, and whenever I'll buy myself baby pink roses because those were her favorite, and I'll always take one and dry it and put that there. Mm. And I have my dog's ashes there too, Stanley, and his is in this really beautiful little like box with a picture of him. And I have his old tags on top, and so it's funny because I really was like, I don't get it, and now it's like I do. Yeah, it's nice having. I'm sure at some point, maybe when I don't know, maybe I'll find a perfect place to spread them and release them, but I don't know. It's kind of nice just having that
her with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also crazy, again, on a more bleak note, how, like, there's, like, so many laws against, like, spreading ashes now.
Oh, yeah. Well, people, I mean, I can't tell you how many videos I've seen of people who, like, worked at Disney, and they're like, it happens all that people want to spread their loved ones' ashes in the Haunted Mansion so that they can be one of the, like, the hundreds of ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know how, like, sanitary or not it is. I'm not well informed. I'm sure it's fine. It's just ashes at that point. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know.
Either way, you don't want it, like, hitting you in the face or something for sure. But, like,
I do have to say.
What?
But we did have a good laugh. When we spread my grandma's ashes.
Yeah.
There was a gust of wind, and it came back in my aunt, and she was like, no.
That's, like, my biggest fear when spreading someone's ashes. Like, I'm so afraid that it's just gonna, like...
I know. We had a good laugh about it, though. It was nice that we were able to find the humor in it.
Yeah. I bet she was laughing, too.
Oh, yeah. She would have died. She did. She would have loved it.
That's so funny.
She would have thought it was so funny, man. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that about your grandma. That's so special.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about the psychic experience you had where they were able to connect, or do you not want to talk about that? No worries.
But when my grandma passed away.
Yeah.
First of all, like, my grandma and I were very close. I said that already, but there were a lot of moments in my life, especially when I moved here, and I knew that, like, she was having issues here and there with, like, she had a stroke and fell and broke her hip, and then that turned. But there were times when I remember specifically I was walking home from the subway, and I don't know, out of the blue, I had an overwhelming feeling that something was going on with my grandma.
Oh.
And it would not go away. And I called my mom, and I'm all, hey, and she's all, hey, how's it going? And I was like, fine. Is grandma okay? And she goes, oh, no, she's in the hospital. That's weird, Sierra.
Oh.
Yeah, no, she's not. She
fell.
Knew. Yeah. She's like, no, she's not. She's in the hospital.
Oh, my God.
I knew. I was like, yep, I know.
Wow.
And that happened, things like that happened a few times.
Yeah. With her specifically?
Yeah. And so when she passed away, we knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. I knew when I left after I had visited her, I knew it was going to be the last time I saw her. I just knew it.
Yeah.
And that was weird. That's a weird feeling. When she passed, my mom called me at maybe 7 a.m.-ish to tell me that she had passed. and I was asleep. But prior to that, at 6:30, like 30 minutes before, I had been woken up because my phone was ringing, and it was from a number from Seal Beach, California. And the reason I know of Seal Beach is because when I was a child, we would go visit my grandmother. She lived in Fullerton, and we would go to Seal Beach with her. What? That was the beach that we would go visit when I was a child with my grandma. Like that, she is the association with that.
What?
At like 6:30. And so then I didn't think anything of it because I was asleep and just like looked at it, saw that it was spam. I wish I would have answered it, honestly.
Yeah,
but wow. Started to go back to sleep. 30 minutes later, my mom called me to tell me that she had passed about 30 minutes prior.
Wait, she totally did say bye to you.
Yeah. I wish I would have answered.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
That is so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Did you see like the missed call and like the number like after?
You know, it's funny. I've tried to go back to find it, and I
you can't.
No, I wish I would have screenshot it because I don't know if it just went away. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's weird that I have. Yeah, it's.
But I after my mom told me, and like after I had like woken up and I was like, oh, like I knew. I was like, oh, that was my grandma.
That's so cool, dude.
Yes, and so what's crazy is my mom was her. What's the word? My mom had been sort of a
caretaker.
Yeah, I mean, my grandma was living in I don't want to say a nursing home, but she was living in a
assisted
house.
living home.
Yeah, with specialized. It was actually like an actual house in our town, like maybe 5 minutes away from where we were living, and they had like. It was this family that was taking care of her, but they were like trained nurses. They were trained for sort of hospice. And so we had to move her there because they had the hospital bed. She had to sleep in a specific bed. That was really tough having to move her there. But my mom was there every day, and they were really wonderful. And she wasn't alone when she passed. There was someone with her.
Okay, good.
So we're happy about that. But anyway, they were supposed to call my mom. My mom was the primary contact, and her phone was always on. For whatever reason, it was being weird and had shut down, so she didn't get the initial call, and they had to call her sister who couldn't get a hold of my mom either, and had to call my dad to tell her.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like something with the technology, obviously with me receiving that weird phone call and my mom's phone being off, we believe, we're like, well, there's a reason. It's my grandma. I fully believe that.
That is so cool, dude. That you like how, it's like more than a coincidence. Like it's she.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it in my mind. That was my grandma, and she did. You know, my mom maybe can like talk more to it, but we did. There's a medium, Matt. I'll say his name. I think it's probably fine. Matt Fraser. Yeah. He's like very popular, and he has this like Rhode Island like accent. He's like a character. My mom and I have always just like loved it. You know, similar to like the Long Island medium. We're like, oh my God, we just love this stuff.
Yeah.
And the year after my grandmother passed, we all went and saw one of his shows in Vegas, and we were really hoping that something would come through. No one did. It was a cool show, but you know, no one came through. And then we had done like a Zoom call with like hundreds of other people, and you know, you might get a reading, you might not. We had done it one time and nothing happened, but we did it a second time, and he called my mom's name, and I was on there. I was here in New York. My mom was in California, and my aunt was there, but I was on this Zoom while they were getting read, and I think I filmed it. Maybe I'll show you or something.
Great,
yeah. But my grandma came through so strongly. He said she was like, I'm the mother, and like pushing through, and was just talking basically about like saying how she was just acknowledging how much my mom was there for her, and how she was just, my mom was so worried about making sure that she was happy and comfortable, and she said he said my grandma was just really happy to just be there while everyone was living their lives, to just be when she was living with my parents, just to be there with everyone. And he mentioned like something about like crosswords. We did a lot of crosswords with her in the end, and yeah, but it was just I don't know. I'll have to rewatch the video, and my mom can probably speak more to it, but it was really, really cool.
Really like profound. Like it seems like he really connected.
Yeah, it was. It was. And it was very special. So I have like a 10-minute clip somewhere of it, but
that's so
she came
cool,
through.
Dude.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
She's for sure our guardian angels. My mom and I were very, very close with her, and that was a really tough loss, but she's with us still. I really think so.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yeah, in some way. And, you know, I know you've mentioned in the past, like, why haven't I seen her? Or why haven't I had an experience with her? You know, and it's, I feel like, always a good sign when that's the case, because it usually means they're in a better place, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that she was able to use that sort of, you know, strength with that situation and come through, and all three of you were there and, you know, leave a message is remarkable. And that shows she's like, yeah, let me take a vacation from my amazing place to come in and say hi, you know?
Yeah.
That's really good. Oh, thanks for sharing that. That's so special.
She was great.
Ancestors, man.
Ancestors.
Before we end the episode, I want to quickly share that Sierra and I taped this episode in early October. And on Halloween night this year, a few weeks after taping, Sierra's grandmother did indeed pay a visit. She appeared and came through very strongly for Sierra during a tarot card reading. Maybe Sierra will be willing to share that experience one day. Anyway, the urge and yearning to connect with loved ones we have lost is very special, and sometimes it is possible. It can just take time, but please remember that no matter what, anyone that you may have lost is always there for you, and they can hear you. When you speak to them and when you need them the most, they are there. If you're ever looking for a sign from the beyond, here's something you can do. It may seem silly, but if you can communicate clearly and out loud to the person you're trying to connect with and ask them to send you a specific sign within a specific time, sometimes people can come through for you. For example, if you ask a loved one to send you dragonflies or butterflies or a white feather or even a specific scent like the smell of jasmine or vanilla or hot dogs, I don't know, something that you both potentially connected with in life, ask them for a sign to come through for you and just see if anything shows up. Give it time, but you might be surprised. Until next time, stay spooky, ghoul friends. Thanks so much for listening. Remember, you are not alone if you've ever heard a bump in the night or caught something out of the corner of your eye. There are countless others who experience things they can't explain. And this podcast is your safe place to listen and share. Also, I want to remind everyone that this show is for entertainment purposes. I am not a professional paranormal investigator. I did not go to school to study this. I can only speak about my first-hand experiences. And with that, I'd love to mark the importance of spiritual inclusion. Your thoughts, ideas, and theories about the other side are welcome. And we know that so much of our common knowledge and perception about the paranormal stems from historical and cultural experiences. So we are open to your knowledge and understanding of things that we may be ignorant about or not fully understand. Let's learn and grow together. Stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Hey ghoul friends, got a spooky story to share? Well, I want to hear about your haunts. Whether you've seen a ghost or something unexplainable, send your supernatural experiences to us at jauntyhaunts@gmail.com. That's JAUNTYHAUNTS@gmail.com. Or DM us on Instagram at jauntyhaunts.pod. That's jauntyhaunts.pod. You can also find us on TikTok and YouTube under Jaunty Haunts Podcast. I want to hear from you.